So what you'll require for this exercise is some paper, 8.5 by 11 is fine. But I managed to find these colored file folders, which will, they're already pre-folded, which will make perfectly good covers. The other thing you'll need is a needle. This is actually a bookbinding needle. You don't have to use one of those. This be one that has a fairly large eye, so you can get a good sized thread through it. But any needle will do. I've got this awl. This is essentially another needle that's been put into an adjustable awl that can tighten up for punching holes, but you don't need it per se because you can use your needle to do that. It's just easier if you have something that you can actually get a good grip on. A pair of scissors is going to be handy. For the thread, wood is conventionally used in bookbinding. It's called linen thread. Once again, I think any thread that you have access to is good. As long as it's not too thin. The thinner it is, the easier it is to rip the paper because it's actually, thread is quite sharp and strong. If you can't find linen thread, there is always the option. Every student always asks, can I use dental floss? And professional bookbinders go into palpitations if they find out that you've used dental floss on on your book. But frankly, as far as I'm concerned, what we're doing here is not trying to do fine binding. We're just trying to have the experience of binding a book. So if that's all you have access to, by all means, use it. Let me take one of these. There we go. So what we have here, we're going to do a single signature book. We're going to use 4 leaves. So we've got 2 done already. Take 2, put them together, fold them up, insert them into the 2 that I had already done. What I'm going to do is I'm going to insert it inside here, open it up to the middle. I'm going to add another hole in the center. Right, so there's one hole here, one here, adding a third one. And depending on where you start, decides where the knot ends up. So now here's where we do a little trick. We want both the in and out to go around the center line so that it's locked in place. If you want to pull it tight, make sure you pull in the direction that the thread is going. So this thread I'm tugging on now is coming out over here. So I'm pulling the same direction. Thing is, if I pull against the direction, then it's putting pressure on the small hole in the paper, which isn't very strong and can tear if you put too much stress on it. So there's a single signature book.
Now we're going to bind a multi-section binding. Make a cover much as you did previously, using cardstock or a folder, whatever you have. Also, prepare 4 sections composed of 4 folded sheets each, making for a 64-page book.
Fold it in half so you've got your lines. And we know that this is the edge. So we're going to put 1, 2, 3, 4 as evenly as you can space it. Just have to make sure they're in the right spot. So yes, just going to make sure that all my holes line up, and they do fairly well. And make sure they correspond with the cover I've just done for it. And it does fairly well. Start at the bottom, very bottom. Then you go in. Again, and this time, as you put your needle through, all you do is you find the hole. That's the right one. And zinga. Tie it off. Standard knot. Double it up to make sure it doesn't undo itself.
Don't trim off the excess on that like I did on mine. You'll need that at the end.
Don't tug too hard on the threads, especially when working with holes placed so close together. Now before I put the last hole in here and tie it off, I'm just going to go back through the sections and make sure that everything I've got is nice and tight. It does seem to be. There's no big loops of anything in evidence, so that's good news. So go back to here, through.
Because I cut the tail off at the very beginning there, it means I've got myself into a little bit of a trouble here. I've got to make a knot, an open knot, that I can slip over top of the stub end and then tie it off tightly, which, you know, I've done enough times that I know how to do it pretty well, but it's much easier if you can just tie it off with long ends.